Hello, mainstreamers and cinephiles and everybody in between. I'm Bryant.
And I'm Caitlyn.
And Operation Silver Screen is a go. Hello, welcome to Operation Silver Screen. This cinema-related operation has been created to clear our desks from stacks of open cases. And what are these cases? Well, even being the film lovers that we are, Caitlyn and I have a huge backlog of must-see films that we still need to experience. So each week, we'll tackle a film that either one of us or both of us still need to see. We will then provide a debrief on our week's mission, giving our outlook on the film's popularity and significance, as well as providing our opinion on whether or not it's worth seeing and other fun insights. And Caitlyn, what was our movie this week?
So this week's mission took us on a long journey to Mumbai, where we were sent to investigate a possible cheating scandal on a popular program, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? That's right, this week we took a look at the critically acclaimed film Slumdog Millionaire by director Danny Boyle. The film is a loose adaptation of the novel Q&A. It's a 2005 novel by Indian author Vika Swarup. So before we would get into it, I want to mention the first part of our debrief will be spoiler-free as we talk about our overall thoughts on the film, but as we move into the classified part of the mission, there will be some spoilers on the story. But we'll be sure to give you a heads up when we get to that part. So let's go ahead and get into this film. Now, this is a film that I've seen. It came out quite a bit ago. It came out in 2008. And Brian, you haven't seen this one, correct?
No, I haven't. This is one of my bigger four shames because the director is one of my favorite directors. But for some reason, I just hadn't watched this film, though this was the last film that I needed to see to complete his essential films.
Okay, now I've seen a couple from Danny Boyle. This one included, I've seen Sunshine, I think he did. I've seen Trance. So I've seen a couple of his, and he definitely has a very distinct visual style.
Yes, very much so. What was the one that you said before Trance?
Sunshine? Didn't he do Sunshine?
Yeah, he did Sunshine. Did you not see 127 Hours?
Oh, I did see that. That was him too?
Yeah, that was him. And actually,
I really liked that one, actually.
Yeah, and if you think about it, that film looks a lot like this film.
Yeah, like it makes sense. Now that you said it, I'm like, oh yeah, I should have definitely known that.
But yeah, I forget that one is Danny Boyle as well.
Yeah, I mean, I still need to see Trainspotting. Oh, I've seen The Beach. But I still need to see Trainspotting, and I still need to see 28 Days Later, which are definitely on our for shame list.
Yes, they are. I actually haven't seen The Beach fully, but I know that's like his mixed reviewed one. I don't know if that really counts as essential.
Maybe not. It's an interesting film, I'll say that. So as far as this film goes, it did premiere at the Telluride Film Festival. It was then shown at the Toronto Film Festival, where it won the People's Choice Award, so it did have a bit of a festival run before it got really big. It had a limited release, and then it won some Oscars. It won 8 Academy Awards of the 10 it was nominating for, including Best Picture, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Cinematography, Best Film Editing, Best Original Score. It also won Best Original Song for Jai Ho, Best Sound Mixing, and of course Best Director for Danny Boyle. It also won several other awards, including 5 Critics' Choice Awards, 4 Golden Globes, a DGA Award for Danny Boyle, a WGA Award for its writer, Salman Bufoy, and a SAG Award for Dev Patel. And so after that, it really did have a large boom in popularity because of those wins. It did have a larger release later on. It largely was received very positively in the US and countries outside of India. In India itself, it received a little bit of mixed reviews, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. It is currently at number 6 of the UK's highest grossing independent films of all time, the top of the list being The King's Speech. It's generally considered one of the more higher grossing independent films in general, grossing $378 million at the box office on a $15 million budget. Bryant, was there anything else that you saw as far as its critical reception?
Yes, and actually, I just want to add one more movie, because it's another one that I always forget he did. Steve Jobs.
Okay. But
anyway, back to this acclaimed film. It had a 8.0 on IMDb, or has a 8.0 on IMDb, which is rather high, and it has a 91% critic rating and a 90% audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes, so critics and audience do agree. And this can be found on the 1001 Movies to Watch Before You Die.
So just to give you guys a little bit of a plot summary here without giving away any spoilers, Slumdog Millionaire follows the story of a young man from Mumbai named Jamal who becomes a successful contestant on the Hindi version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. He is accused of cheating after doing a little bit too well on the program and is soon interrogated, and during this interrogation, he begins to reflect on his life and the people and events that led him up to that point. So Bryant, this being your first time watching, what did you think about this film?
I thought this was a good movie throughout, and then it got to the third act, and it got even better. Like, it went from good to great. The way that they tell this story, because he's not only reflecting on his life, but he's telling the inspector why he knows these answers is because he came across these questions during his life, during his time growing up and coming to age. And the way that was just brought together was fantastic. It's actually why Danny Boyle decided to work on this project. He at first declined, and then he came back and read the script, and that's what he said. He said that he really liked the way that these two stories interconnected. And then I would say that's what separates it from the other Rags to Riches stories, because I would say that's kind of why the first two acts were just good for me. Is because it was a rag to rich story. You know, we've seen that plenty of times. The love story as well. See, you know, this is a romance. The romance is a selling point for it. It gets brought up, but I think it was a little one-sided. It was another one where the female is, you know, she's just alluring. Yeah, there's some history because they kind of grew up together, but there really wasn't too much for her side. But still, because the protagonist, the hero, was so great, that I was so cheering him on the whole time to get this love. So I really enjoyed this film.
Yeah, so I watched this when I was in college, and I remember really, really taking a liking to this film. I think especially the music for me was really well done. I thought that the humming score was very pretty. I loved Jai Ho. The MIA Paper Plane song in the film really, really took me back at the nostalgia there. But I think this second time viewing, I think the plot was lacking a little bit for me. Just a little. I think it's a little bit simplistic, and I know some people have said it's a bit unrealistic, and I can see that. I don't think there's anything wrong with it being unrealistic, though. But there's some things that I thought were a little bit jarring in the plot. Some of the time skips I didn't really care for how they were handled in particular. But as far as the film overall, I think just visually, this is a masterpiece. And we know that Danny Boyle is a visual director. And I think that this film is such a great example of his style.
Yeah, it definitely is. Someone who's seen a lot of his films, you definitely see it all here. And it helps with this film because you mentioned that this has an unbelievable plot, sort of. And I agree. Like, I don't even think that this was really trying to sell, like, this is an actual thing that could happen. And I think one of the things that helps with that is the way that this is presented visually with Danny Boyle, because it has a surreal feeling to it. I don't know if you also had that feeling, but like even like when he's sitting down in the millionaire questionnaire chair, I don't know, it just feels like it's almost a dream.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is the lighting, but also in other scenes, you see he uses a lot of Dutch angles, and I love a good Dutch angle. For those who don't know, it can also be called a canted angle, I believe, but that's just, instead of viewing an image straight on, it's at a tilt. That's what a Dutch angle is, but it really is effective. And he also uses a lot of motion blur. He likes a lot of movement in his films. He's talked before about how he likes a lot of movement in his films. And he likes a lot of close-ups to really just get you in there. I actually have a book. It's the shooting script for Slumdog Millionaire. I have a copy of that. And it has a Q&A with him at the end. And he talks about how he really wants a subjective view instead of an objective view. So he doesn't want the camera to be on a wide static shot and give you that objective kind of distant view of the film. He wants you in there. He wants you in part of the action. He wants films to have a jagged style to them. He doesn't want a smooth film, is what he said in particular. There's also some key shots here that were filmed at 12 frames per second or under. I think this often gave it a dreamlike quality, a dreamlike look to it, and I'll talk a little bit later about the camera that was used for that. when we get a little bit more into the podcast. He also uses a lot of mirrors and reflections as well. I think that also just adds a layer of depth and dynamic to the film as well.
Yeah, he loves his canted angles. That's how I always remember canted angles. I forgot that it was called Dutch angles.
Yeah, I know him by Dutch angles, so I was like, canted angles, what's this?
Yeah, and you're right about the lighting with his film. That's something that I wanted to bring up as well, because that also gives it kind of that dreamlike feel, and the way that he lights his nighttime shots as well have I don't know, they have like a certain style to it. And I don't really understand how I don't really know how to describe it. But it's just like almost like the center is just lit. It's almost like a spotlight, like a dim spotlight on the focus. You mentioned as well the frame rate stopping or lowering, and that gives it a dreamlike feel. Yeah, sometimes like I even wonder, I was like, wait, is this actually happening, or is this a flashback? Because you usually see that associated with a flashback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'll mention the story. The screenplay was written by Simon Beaufoy.
Yep.
Oh, I got it right.
I think. I think.
Simon B. Really what I liked from the story was the way that it interconnected. But like I said, it's a simple rad to riches story. So I agree with you that the writing isn't that, I can't say it's not strong. It's not weak, but it's nothing too fancy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's simple. It is a kind of a simple script. But I think that also gives the visuals a chance to shine a little bit more. He could be a little bit more creative with that. And the level of production in this film, I thought, was great.
And with you being right up with Danny Boyle's style, it really works with this film. Like being right up on people, it works because a large portion of this movie takes place in the slums. And the slums is just, man, it's just all together. It's just real tight. And you get that feeling when they go into a room, it's a real small room or wherever they're sleeping is with a bunch of people. So you being right up on there, it's you get that feeling. It's almost claustrophobic. Yeah,
definitely. What did you think about the music? I know I mentioned the music and really liking that. See, I remember me and my friends, we were obsessed with Jai Ho. We played that song so much in college just because, like, when around the time that we watched this, because I watched this with some friends in college.
Did you guys also choreograph the dance?
We may have tried to do the dance. It's a thing that probably did happen. Yeah. Yeah.
Not surprised.
It's not a Bollywood scene without a dance sequence, I'll say that.
True. I dug the music. As you know, like I dig Indian music. You and I we share playlists every month, and I put in a couple Indian songs, mainly from one of the artists I listen to is Maninder Butter. And actually, if anybody out there has any other Indian artists that they would like to share, definitely message us and let me know. Also, I'm going to be real sad if I find out that the artist I like is pretty much like the Bad Bunny of India, and I just get ridiculed for it. I really dug the music, and the music's kind of one of the reasons I want to watch some Bollywood films, so I'll have to do that soon. But yeah, I dug the music, even the non-Indian music like MIA. Though I think does she have Indian descent? Is she Indian?
I believe so.
Yeah. Also, Memba is an artist that we both enjoy, and they have some Indian roots, and it shows up in their music. Or actually, I think they're just not some Indian roots. I think they are Indian. Yeah, I was enjoying it. Through Danny Boyle is also really good with music choice. I guess he doesn't really do the composing, but who he gets to compose the music, he always does a good job with it. I know like the score is also amazing. You'll see in 28 Days Later, there's a very famous score in that movie. And I even went and looked to find this music and listen to a little bit of it today. And I can tell that this soundtrack is popular because usually when I search up a movie or episode soundtrack, the first thing that comes up is like TuneFind or like one of those websites that will tell me when the song played in the soundtrack. But for this, it just showed me like where to buy the soundtrack and where to listen to it.
Yeah, I mean, I had it on my iPod Touch back in college, so.
Oh yeah, those were things.
Yeah.
Was your iPod Nano too full?
Yeah. That was my high school days. That was high school era. I upgraded.
Yeah, same.
What did you think of performances?
The performances were good. Nothing really stood out. I liked them all though, but there wasn't any not anything real breakout. Like I see why nobody really got an Oscar. I don't think anybody got an Oscar nom for acting, right?
Not an Oscar. Dev Patel did get a SAG award, the Screen Actors Guild Award.
Ah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, and I did like Dev Patel. I already like Dev Patel. He's an actor I always look for. I don't know if I can say he's my favorite actor, but he's an actor that I always look forward to seeing. And I know the same for you. And we first found out through the show Skins with the Skins alumni, which we'll probably talk a little bit about later. But yeah, the performances were good. Nothing broke anything, but nothing really stood out.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I really, really liked Dev Patel's performance in this when I had watched it. And while I still like it, it's interesting to see how much he's grown since this with his performance-wise. And I would definitely say that Dev Patel's in my top 5 actors.
Yeah, I have to re-examine. He's definitely going to be a candidate for that. And I see, yeah, like his acting is good here, but he definitely has improved.
Yeah, definitely. What did you think of the time skips and the different actors playing the characters at different ages?
I think they were all believable as they grew up. One of the time skips was a little jarring because I try to make sense of it. Because
I wonder if it was the one for me too, because there's one that I wrote down as being jarring as well.
Yeah, because if you think about it, what would have had to happen is that they fell off a train twice.
Okay, maybe it's different time skip.
Okay. Like, I mean, it's a cool shot. They fall off a train, they spin, you see them, and then when they land, they're in their next generation. But when you think about it, it's like, wait a minute. Okay, you don't age while falling off a train. Like, I know it does damage to your body, but not like that. But that would mean that, like, if you were to intersect the two, that means they fell off a train twice, and how did they land? I don't know. If you give it too much thought, it doesn't make sense, but I was like, all right.
I think I read somewhere that was more of a Bollywood-inspired shot. So I don't know if they got that influence from somewhere else. I'm not entirely sure where we got that from, but I did read that somewhere.
That would have been hilarious if only one of them aged, though, after falling off the train. Like, Celine, what happened to you?
They have to go back and do it again. Is there anything else you want to say before we go into the influence?
No.
Okay. So let's move on and talk a little bit about the influence that this film had. Brian, do you want to start off with something that you found?
I do not, because I did not find anything for influence.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, so you should go ahead. Go ahead, take it. Maybe one of your influences, though, is one of my significance, because I actually have a good amount for significance.
One of the things I said, I don't know that I really would say this was an influence on what happened as far as the Oscars, but it was interesting to me that this film won an Oscar with 75% of the language being in Hindi. So originally it was going to be a lot less than that. So there was a casting director named Loveleen Tandon, and she really suggested to Danny Boyle and the writer that they have more Hindi in the film. There was actually a couple of child actors that was in the film, and Danny Boyle was having a hard time with them, just directing them and getting them to say these English lines because there was a language barrier between them. A lot of these actors in the film were from Mumbai. So she had suggested to Danny Boyle that she put their lines in Hindi. And along this process and with her urging, he realized that, yeah, like a lot of this film does need to be in Hindi. So he kind of ran it by the studio. He made the studio believe that only 10% of the film was going to be in Hindi. They, of course, were shocked when he said that they were going to have Hindi dialogue with English subtitles. But yeah, he only kind of made them believe that it was going to be 10%, when really it was 75%, I believe I saw. Not 75, no. I'm sorry. I'm looking at something else. He went to actually use about a third of the film's dialogue translated into Hindi that was originally written in English. So he said that this really brought the child actors to life, and it really impacted the film in a positive way, in my opinion. So while Parasite is the first non-English language film to win Best Picture, with Roman nominated before that, I did find this interesting that this was able to do so well with so much of that language difference. And I think we talked about this too a little bit with The Godfather, how that had a lot more Italian in it, The Godfather Part 2. So that was something I just personally found interesting.
Yeah, the studios think that people don't want to read. And I like the way they did the subtitles in this as well. It wasn't just like, again, it fit with Danny Boyle's style. And the subtitles are stylized with the film.
Yeah, I noticed that too, because it was a stylized font and it had that opaque colored backing that the color changed like each time you saw it. So it really was stylized, and it was an interesting part of the film. Also, for influence, I said that this kickstarted the career of Dev Patel and Frida Pinto. Frida Pinto was a model at the time, and she did some acting after that. I wouldn't say she blew up as an actress as much as Dev Patel did, but this was his first feature film. Like we said, he previously worked on Skins, and when Danny Boyle was looking to cast Jamal, he said that all the 18 to 20-year-old actors in India at that time were all very muscular, and he wanted something very different from that. So his daughter said, hey, check out this guy in Skins. So he met with him, of his mom, and it was a perfect match. He said that they argued about things sometimes, the way that the character would act. Sometimes Danny Boyle and Dev Patel did have some disagreements about that, but it seemed like he had a real big respect for him, and he appreciated having a lead actor who was really determined to bring the best out of a character. And so I think that definitely speaks a lot to Dev Patel's way of approaching acting and his work ethic, and I'm glad that he's been able to have a lot more roles, and I hope that we continue to see really good roles from him.
I was actually about to say, oh wait, I do have an influence. Dev Patel. This was his first feature, so you kind of took that from me. But yeah, and if you don't know Skins, it's this popular British TV show. It's actually the first British TV show I watched. I think I may have watched it because of your recommendation. And a lot of actually famous actors and actresses came from Skins, which is why we say the Skins alumni. If you don't know Skins, it's 3 stories broken up into 6 seasons, following a cast of teenagers and just going through their coming of age. And it sometimes gets a little bit larger than fiction. One of the most popular people to come from...
Larger than fiction? That's not a word.
Not larger than fiction.
Phrase.
Larger than life. Larger than life. I mixed it with stranger than fiction. Larger than life scenarios. Nicholas Hoult is probably the biggest one to come from Skins. You also have Joe Dempsey and Hannah Murray, who were both in Game of Thrones. You have Kea, I'm not even going to try to pronounce her last name.
Scodelario.
Yes, thank you, Caitlin. That's 3 out of 4, so I'm doing pretty well today. Jack O'Connell is another big one. Well, not really big. Everybody knows him. He is a great actor. Caitlin and I both like to see his movies when they come out. And then, of course, Dev Patel. It is a good TV show. Actually, Daniel Kaluuya was in the show. I think he may have just done a couple episodes, though. He wasn't in any of the generations. The last 2 seasons you can skip, though, honestly. It's the first 2 generations and the first 4 seasons that are really great.
Yeah, agreed. But yeah, 2 of my favorite actors now are both from Skins, Jack O'Connell and Dev Patel. So they must have been doing something right.
Yeah, that casting director did a good job of getting some proteges.
Yeah, but also seeing Dev Patel's glow up throughout the years, because he's kind of a funny looking, kind of funny guy in Skins. But Slumdog Millionaire, like, he still was that, but then there were moments where I was like, okay, all right, I see you. And now it's just like complete glow up.
Let me guess, for you is the Bollywood scene at the dance scene.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
With the yeah, because that's like when he just totally changed. Like he just he had the open button up with the tank top underneath.
It's the gaze too. It's the gaze that he has, and also just you gotta love a man who dances.
You hear that, fellas? That's what the ladies were like.
It's true. So also as far as influence, of course it's going to be referenced in many other media, especially comedies. It's been in The Office, Community, Arthur, The Kids Show, Parks and Recreation. They've all referenced it in some way. Also, Slumdog Millionaire also slightly reminded me of another film that actually Dev Patel was in called Lion. Lion also centers around a young boy who was separated from his family and hometown, but the similarities kind of end there, and as the character in Lion is adopted by a British couple. So it's not directly the same, and Dev Patel said that they're very different messages and stories himself, but just the beginning part of that reminds me a little bit of the beginning of Slumdog Millionaire.
Yeah, I remember really liking Lion as well. He got an Oscar nomination for that film.
Did he? I couldn't remember if he did or not.
Yeah, for Lion. That was the one that he got.
I liked it, but it's not as memorable as Slumdog Millionaire.
Yeah, honestly, I can't remember too much from it. Actually, I want to watch it again if I ever get the chance.
I think the thing that like threw me off was because, so in Lion, the boy is separated because he ends up on a train that travels far away from his home. And so for a minute, I couldn't remember which film it was that had that sequence.
Oh, okay. I can see that.
Yeah. So what were you able to find about its significance?
This almost wasn't made twice. So this was, Hollywood has something called a blacklist, which are scripts that are very popular but aren't being made. Just no one has picked them up. No studio has given the green light on it. I think we may have mentioned it before.
Is that like different from being blacklisted?
Yeah, it's different than being blacklisted. Each year they have a blacklist. This was 2007's Blacklist, which is a movie that's most like, but it's an unmade script from that year. And then this movie got made, and it almost didn't go to theater. It almost went straight to DVD, which I didn't even know they really did for live action. And this was before streaming, so they couldn't just throw it to another platform. But it was Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers, they finished production, and then Warner Brothers just shelved it. They just left it there.
Well, there was a merger.
Oh, was there a merger?
Yeah, so Warner Brothers, I think something happened and then it kind of became Fox's responsibility. Is that accurate? Is Warner Brothers and Fox merged?
No, because Disney has Fox now. So Warner Brothers and Fox were never together.
Maybe I'm thinking wrong. There was something about, there's some kind of studio shakeup. We'll just say that. There was some kind of studio shakeup, and that's kind of why it got shelved, and then it became, someone else's responsibility.
Yeah, what I read is that Fox Searchlight Pictures picked the film up. They said, hey, if you're not going to do it. That's what
I'm thinking of. But there was some other shakeup in Warner Brothers.
Yeah, I mean, it is Warner Brothers, so who knows? Yeah, so they were just going to leave it there, and then Fox said, you know what, if you guys aren't going to do anything with it, we'll go ahead and take the responsibility, which I noticed right when the logo started. This said that it was a Fox Searchlight Pictures and Warner Brothers picture. I was like, I remember seeing like those two work together. And as we know now, Fox is owned by Disney. But I guess Warner Brothers is still technically the primary owner of this film because this movie is streaming on HBO Max, which is owned by Warner Brother Discovery. Almost said Warner Brother Disney. Not yet. Give it a couple years.
Yeah, at this rate.
It's crazy because this film did so well. Both like we already talked about all the awards that it won. Yeah, it won like over 100 awards. Its box office was good too. It made its money back and more. It actually had an increase in its second weekend of 44%, which is crazy. Like almost 50%. And most of the time, movies actually go down their second period. They usually go down like 50%. Sometimes even steeper by their second weekend, no matter how good the film is.
Yeah, I think I forgot to mention the actual box office amount earlier when I was talking about its reception. But it did only have I say only, of course, only, a small budget in film world is very different than a small budget in the world that the rest of us live in. But it was only a $15 million budget, and it grossed $378 million worldwide.
I wonder how much Fox actually gained from that too. I'm always interested in the business side of film as well. So I'm curious about that. Like I said, this is still primarily Warner Brothers.
Yeah. This
was the first best cinematography winner for a film shot mostly on digital.
This is where I got that 75% from. 75% of the film was shot digitally.
Okay. All right.
That's what I was thinking of. So the rest was shot in traditional 35 millimeter. But they also, so I talked a little bit about the lower frame rates. They also use a Canon still camera that could shoot at 12 frames per second. They actually use that as well. So they use digital filmmaking because it's a lot more compressed. It was easier to use in those small, tight areas zooming by, and also attracted less attention, so it didn't like disrupt the natural flow of the environment. But digital footage was shot on the Silicone Imaging SI 2K digital camera, which, like I said, it wasn't really used at that time, but it actually recorded that raw footage to laptops in 2K quality. Like I said, this sounds a little bit dated, but it was a big deal back then. It really was an advancement at the time to do that, as opposed to capturing like formatted images in a mini DV camera. Also, with the cameras, just an interesting tidbit that I found is because that the heat and humidity of Mumbai was so high, they actually tested the camera equipment in saunas to see how it would do, and they were like, well, let's not do this. This is not a good idea. So instead, they just kept dry ice with them, and they would use the dry ice a couple times a day to cool down the cameras.
Oh, nice. Improvise and adapt.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of awards, this was the first foreign film to win Best Picture since The Last Emperor in 1987.
Is it considered a foreign film?
Yes. No major American studio backed this film. And this is considered a UK film.
Yeah, but okay.
That's what I read.
Usually, I mean, you can talk about white colonialism, all that crap. But usually don't really consider British films foreign films, do they?
This is quotations, honestly. This isn't this would really qualify as your best foreign picture, but technically it's still foreign.
Usually it's foreign language film.
That's right, foreign language film. But yes, this was the first, since 1987, this was the first foreign, technically. It's a technicality. All right, but
I feel like I don't believe that, but okay. I feel like I'm not sure about that information.
Hey, I'm just the messenger.
There had to have been other British films that won.
Really?
I feel like we've talked about a few British films that I thought would be in there.
No, I just know this is our second British film in a row. Atonement, it's swept away, but it didn't win Best Picture.
Okay. Yeah, but I feel like I was thinking there was something that we talked about that was earlier than that, but maybe not.
I don't think so. The last thing I have for significance is something that I know you're going to touch on, so I'll let you go ahead and take it, and that's the bit of controversy that surrounds this film.
Okay. Yeah, so we talked about the critical reception and how it was mostly positive in areas not in India. But in India, it was kind of mixed. You had a lot of people praising it for presenting an unsanitized version of India. But others argued that the film was really just poverty porn, and it presents an overly negative view of the country. It creates negative view of its people, and it falls into stereotypes. So Danny Boyle, in the Q&A that he had, he mentioned that he didn't want to objectify India. He seemed both amazed by the country, and he was aware that there was a lot of responsibility there as a Westerner telling his story. And, at first I wondered if maybe part of the problem was that he didn't have enough people consulting people from the actual country on his film. But he did have some people, and he did definitely thank them in the interview that he was doing. Like I said, he did have Loveleen Tandon as his co-director. He made her co-director because he realized he really needed her on set every day for the language and to correct any cultural inaccuracies, no matter how inconvenient he said it was to the filming. And he said he really respected her because she would tell him what he was doing wrong if he was doing something wrong. And so I thought that was really interesting because you don't really hear about this film having a co-director. So I thought that was really cool to learn. And also the first AD and the sound editor and mixer, he also thanked them for their input and for being a support system. They were both of Indian heritage. So I do think that he tried his best, but I can definitely see where this falls into some of those pitfalls.
We've seen it plenty of times, movies exploit the lesser developed countries, communities of struggle. I think this movie, though, took it pretty light on the issues within the country. I think it really focuses on its characters, and some of the bad things that happen throughout is kind of some things that you kind of see in any other country. I don't think this film really touched too much on some other issues that I've become aware of with in India, which is the class system, the politics. Though I wasn't tracking the religious issues, but I'm not surprised religion is the religion civil wars that occurs in a lot of places, but it doesn't really harp on it too much. And I think, yeah, I think there's other films that really look into this. I know Dion Loose Cannon, he recommended to us White Tiger. I don't think you watched that yet, right?
No, not yet.
Yeah, I watched that, and whew, that movie, that movie intentionally made me angry just about the whole class system there. I would also say, like, with the slums, like, you could say that the slums, it made it seem like this whole country is just like half a slum. Then I looked up the statistics of this. First thing that came up on Google was, it said in bold, no country is facing or up to this scale of slums compared to India. 100 million of their citizens are in slums. And then I looked up the statistics for America. The population is 331 million, which means that if you can imagine the United States, almost a third of it being slums. I think that's quite crazy. So I don't think, and Grant, I'm not from the country. I'm not Indian. I can't say if this is actually a factual depiction. I've been to the country once, but it was really quick. I just went to, I was in Bali. I went to one of the islands. So I got off the airport, was there for a little bit, and just in the hotel, really nice hotel. Next day, went out to the island. So I didn't really get to see too much.
I think that the word slum in general has a sort of connotation to it. And I can definitely see that it being from a Westerner's point of view, the one to create this film and have the main say in this film and how it's portrayed, I think that, it's going to be a more nuanced discussion because of that. And the way that Westerners in general view films that are from other countries. I think that we're only just now starting to really see the variety in film and experience from other countries. And I'm glad that we're doing that, but this definitely came out at a time where that's the kind of film that Westerners wanted to see when they were looking towards India and foreign areas. I think that sometimes a lot of Americans get this idea that the rest of this world is so underdeveloped and so primitive almost, and it's not like that. So I can see that this definitely presents India in a certain light. Obviously, every country has its own problems, and I can't really speak to the problems of India not being from there. So that's something that obviously I'm not going to have a true opinion on. As far as for the caste system and the religious politics, I do think Danny Boyle attempted to put a little bit of something there. We saw this with one of the opening scenes, or not opening scenes, but one of the beginning scenes. There is an attack on his neighborhood from a group of Hindu people against the Muslims. Our main character is Muslim, but he kind of makes a line in the film that he says, if it wasn't for Rama and Allah, I'd still have a mother. His mother is killed in these attacks. I don't think that's a spoiler. It happens pretty early on. But so religion does play a part in this film, but he seems to renounce it. I think that the script shies away from making an overt message as far as the caste system there. But it does kind of come back a little bit later when he's talking about dollars and the faces on their rupees, and Jamal himself didn't know that Gandhi was on the rupee, and he's kind of flippant about it when he's told. And I found this kind of interesting because Gandhi said to have inconsistent views on the caste system in general. So I don't know. I think that Danny Boyle tried to put a message in there, or the writing tried to put a message in there, and Bennett just kind of shied away from it a little bit. But also, I don't necessarily think that it's his topic to really talk about either. So I can kind of see why that may have been a better thing to do.
Yeah, I don't think it was his message. I don't even think they were trying to make a message, but I think that they didn't want it to completely ignore it. Like, they wanted to show, like, hey, this is here. All right, we're aware it's here, but hey, this isn't what our movie's about, and we don't have much to say in it. And like you said, maybe they were conscious that, hey, this isn't our story to tell. But just know that this stuff, it does happen in this country. And
I
going
mean,
back,
I wouldn't say that he entirely ignored it or said that this isn't what the movie's about, because I do think it does play in the movie, especially when you have that image of the child, the little boy dressed as Rama in the beginning. And I read one article that describes that particular scene as a magical horror. But I think it uses religion to play up the kind of horrors that the character was facing at that time.
yeah, yeah. And that's how I think it's more like how that plays into the story, not so much making that the story.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And going back to what you're saying about, the Western views, we do, like, it's like the whole freedom thing. I mean, having a freedom, that's something the United States, man, we're proud of to say. We're a free country. Yeah, so is every other country, almost. Like, there's not many countries that aren't free anymore. It used to be like, we just kind of looked at other places, and we even kind of looked inside our own borders, and we made those assumptions, and movies were based on those assumptions. So yeah, I see how this movie definitely doesn't help with with India's image. I wonder if we had, like, during that time, if we had more of India's films, because actually it was just last year really that we've had our first big Indian film be real popular on this side of the world, which was RRR. I would say it doesn't give a negative image on India, probably because it's like, I can't believe that this is a real place in the world because of the physics here. And
yeah, it has a fantastical element to it, so it's whimsical, it's pretty.
Yeah, exactly. So I can see the controversy with this film, but I don't think it completely exploits it.
Who would you recommend this film to?
I would recommend this for the general audience, to cinephiles. I think the general audience will enjoy this rags to riches story. I think cinephiles will be able to see a lot with the canted or Dutch angles, the style, the lighting, just the kind of way that, we talked about the French New Wave before, and a lot of times, and I think this is something that, and this is another director that I think was influenced, or maybe subconsciously indirectly influenced by the French New Wave. Just from, like, a lot of the things that you were saying, just angling the camera, being up and close, using different cameras, using different frame rates, kind of pulling you out of story and then putting you back into the story. I mean, there's even a part where there's a guard that says, "Stop filming." Both Devin and I looked at each other like, did that guy just, I feel like that guy just told Danny Boyle, "Hey, stop filming." He said, "Oh, now I'm going to put this in the movie." And yeah, that's why he put it in the movie, is because he wanted a sense of realism to it. But also, I think it was spite.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. That was something I thought about as well. And I agree with you. I think that there's a lot for cinephiles to take out of it, but I think it also works for a general audience. There's so much that's memorable about this film, and we talked about it being, poverty porn is what they said. But there are things that are very hopeful, very exciting, very funny at times about this film that I think that a lot of people will like. Let's go ahead and move into the classified portion of our podcast. This is where we'll go into spoilers now. So if you haven't seen this film, if you're like Bryant and you were living in the dark, then go ahead, go watch this film and come back to us and take a listen to what we have to say about the spoilers. So one thing that I want to bring up with spoilers is one specific shot that has just blew my mind for several years now. I've watched this one shot with Dion with Loose Cannon a couple times, and we've talked about it and how insane it is. And it's the scene where Jamal's brother Salim shoots one of the bad guys of the film, Maman. And in this particular scene, he puts a pillow over the gun to, I guess, stifle the noise. But then we see this interesting shot where there's this overlay of the pillow. So you see the shot coming out of the pillow, but you also see Maman's face. He's being shot. So there's this weird kind of overlay. And there's also like some weird lighting effects, and there's reflections in this particular setting, and it's just such an interesting shot, and I had to watch it several times to really understand what I was even looking at. But I kept rewinding, I kept watching it, and I'm like, what goes through Danny Boyle's mind when he comes up with these things, because it's insane. It's an absolutely insane shot.
That is a fantastic shot. Yeah, just the way you explain it. There's so many things that go into that shot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just, I mean, that's one of the reasons he's one of my favorite directors. He can, you know, you can take a movie like this, and it didn't even call for it, but he went ahead and did it, and it was a powerful moment, and it was just emphasized with that.
Yeah, and so I was actually reading, like I said, I have a copy of the shooting script, and I was reading the script, and it wasn't in there. Like, in the script, actually, when Salim tries to shoot, he had the safety on, and so it didn't shoot. And then he's like, oh, well, safety, oops, and then he actually does shoot the gun. So, like, he misses the first time. Everyone just kind of looks at him, and he's like, oh, haha, safety, and then he shoots. So it wasn't in the script at all. This shot wasn't in the script. It went a very different way in the script that I read. So it's interesting. So I don't know if this is something that, like, he came up with on the fly. I have no idea, but it's insane.
It's probably because he was using a revolver, and revolvers don't have safeties. Like, they don't have an internal or an external safety.
Yeah, okay. When we talked about how some of the time skips were jarring, for me, the time skip that was the most jarring was there was a skip from when the two brothers and Latika are in, like, this apartment. This is like a hotel apartment room, and he kicks Jamal out, and Jamal leaves. And then there's a time skip to Jamal working at a call center. And it was kind of jarring to me because I kind of had to figure out what was going on, what had happened in that time. And it seemed like a little bit of a bigger time skip. I don't know if it was just because of the actors, but it seemed a little bit longer this time than the previous time skips. So that was the one that was a little bit jarring to me.
It wasn't jarring to me, but it did feel longer. And what I think it was is because his life became quiet. Like, with the first two generations, it's very hectic. Like, he's just moving from one place to the next. And usually when you see, like, a time skip and somebody going into a quiet life, you know, you'll see it in gangster films. They had this whole life of crime, and now they're just, you know, they finally retire. So it almost felt like he went through a retirement phase, but he didn't. It only skipped, like, a couple years.
Yeah, that makes sense. For me, I think I was confused about how he lost track of them, because I think in my mind I was thinking he was going to go back later to them, but then I guess he didn't.
He did. So they explain it later. Salim tells him, like, hey, Maman's men were coming after us. So we had to leave, because he said that he came back for them and they weren't there. And he said, hey, we had to leave. I left you a message.
What did you think about the villains of the story? Speaking of Maman, and then there's another one, Javid.
Yeah, the last one, he was just your typical kingpin, gangster, whatever. Like, very stereotypical. He even had a small room with girls that were paid just to lounge around and dance.
Yeah.
The other one, I liked his character, something we've seen before. Somebody who looks, you know, someone who's devious. Nice on the outside, evil within. I was talking to Devin. I was like, man, like, I just want to take these children out of the situation during the beginning of the film. And then Maman comes in and he takes them, and they go to this place, like, it's almost like a summer camp. And I look at Devin and said, nah, they're all right. They look like they're having a great time. And then Maman's just standing in the corner, just looking over. And I said, nah, we got to get those children out of there. And then I think, like, man, I wonder if this actually happens, because I can see it. And I like the way that the story, it doesn't explain too much for you. There is a lot of not visual storytelling, but they just show you things visually, and they don't explain it because they don't need to. One of them is they get boys or girls that are great at singing, and then they go ahead and blind them. And they don't really tell you directly why until later in the film, but you can tell in that instance that, oh, if they're blind and they can sing well, they're going to make plenty of money. And I thought that was truly evil, what they were doing right there. Also, I wonder, if you get passed out with chloroform, could you not feel your eyes getting blinded?
Oh no, that was definitely the most unsettling part of the film for me.
Yeah, that one, and there was another one that got me. I think that one may have been it. So I think that was an interesting villain. Again, we kind of seen it before, but it was still interesting. Like I said, a lot of the stuff that we kind of seen before, but it doesn't make it bad. It's just it doesn't stand out that well, except for that blinding.
Yeah, and I think for me, kind of where the more unrealistic part of the film comes in is the time skip later when they go back and confront him. Because there's a scene where he says, Maman never forgets a face. But at that point, with the time skip, he is looking at a completely different face because we know, but this is a new actor. So it kind of made me laugh because, it kind of took me out of the film a little bit.
Well, even if you never forget a face, like you know it even when it ages. But yeah, because it's different actors and they wouldn't exactly. Okay.
Yeah. Like it's literally a different face.
What did you think of them?
Like I said, I think that the whole confrontation scene and coming to him again, and she happens to be there, the same person with him. It kind of seems like that's where more of the unrealistic part of the film came in for me. Like that they were able to just go off, do their thing, come back, and have that confrontation.
That is some movie coincidence. You gotta love some film magic, bringing everybody together. I mean, It's more believable than Star Wars.
This film has a lot of movie coincidence, and the whole plot of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire is based off of movie coincidences.
Yeah. So, but I mean, that film, that's why I said I didn't think this film was trying to give me a realistic story. Like, it knew that it was a bit fantastical, which is why I think Danny Boyle was like the perfect director for this film.
Yeah, I agree. Is there anything you have to say about the present day, like the interrogation scenes, the cheating scandal?
The cheating scandal was interesting. I like the way they went about that. That added like a whole new loop, and of course it introduces the way that our story is going to be told. I also like I like when he was in the chair. One of the things I love about that third act is the suspense. Like, I really didn't know if he was going to win or not. And as he's asking those questions, and just the way that like the pacing of it was great. I was cheering it on. By the way, I got those last two questions right. Ask Devin.
I don't remember what the second to last question was.
It was who the greatest cricket player was.
Oh, yeah, I would have no idea.
I had no idea, but the name Jack Hobbs just sounded like a dude that was born to break records in cricket. Cricketeer?
The cricketeer, yeah. The last question, I had to guess between two. I knew that D'Artagnan was not one of the three musketeers because he's the fourth person that came in. And then there was another name that I was like, this is definitely not it. So I had it narrowed down to two for the last question.
Well, then you should have just called me up. See, you had your lifeline.
You're my lifeline. Oh, gosh. It was sad, though, when he said, when he called his brother's phone number and he was like, this is the only number I have.
Yeah, that was.
That got me a little bit.
Yeah, there's a lot of heartbreaking moments in this. I think one of the biggest ones for me is when Salim pulled his hand away from Litika.
Litika?
Yeah, Litika.
Latika? I don't know. They pronounced it different ways in the film.
They did.
So I was like, which way's the right way? They did. Is there anything else you want to say here in our spoiler section?
Yeah, there was one more. Did you see there seemed to be like a religious aspect to this movie? And I was trying to figure out, and it may take me a second watch or looking at some film essays about it. But there were a couple of biblical things mentioned throughout the film. Salim is seen praying at one point. You never see them at a chapel or church doing any of that as they grow up, but you see his brother, asking for forgiveness for his sins. At the end of the movie, he prays to God during his final moments. The question is,
so I think that I was reading the shooting script after I watched it, and there was a moment, and I don't remember if it was in the film or not. I don't think it was, but I think that the script made it a little bit more apparent that they were Muslim. Okay.
And then, even outside of the characters, the overall question, how did he answer the questions right? It was like, did he know? Did he cheat? Did he have a microchip? Or D, is it written? Mm-hmm. And they said that a couple times. Is it written? And that just, to me, that sounds biblical. This.
Yeah, it's prophetic.
Yeah, yeah, very much so. So I wonder if that like had any, if there was like a religious undertone to it,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like
Yeah.
There Will Be Blood.
Yeah, I mean, obviously not a Christian undertone, but definitely a religious undertone.
Yes, yes. Wait, there's other religions? What did you think about that scene when he jumped into that toilet?
Oh, so nasty. So nasty.
Oh, that one got me. I was like, ugh.
Oh, it was so gross. But that's what I said. Like, there is some comedic moments. I mean, obviously, at that point, it's before a lot of the bad stuff happens, but.
That also, man, I could smell it. Cause
Ugh.
I tell you, the worst smell in the world, is the bathrooms on a range, just out there in the middle of the sun in
Ugh.
July. And just
Yeah.
I don't know if they like I'd never seen a truck pull up to any of the firing ranges that I went to and actually clean those things out. So it's it's the hardest thing. But you learn how to hold your breath for more than a couple minutes.
Ugh. Imagine that heat and humidity.
Yeah, that's some dedication. And then his brother sold the picture. And the part that made me
So
the
mad.
maddest is that he said he made a good offer. He didn't even make an offer. He just
No.
grabbed some coins that he had right there and then gave it to you. He has some spare change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I hate Celine.
There was a moment that I was really liking Salim. Or not really liking, where I like Salim because he was looking out for his brother. But man, did he, he kept making me mad.
Mm-hmm. So do you think that this film holds up? I mean, obviously, this is a little bit more of a modern film than what we usually do, but, does it still hold up? Does the digital filmmaking hold up? Obviously, this was still a newer technology. And do you think it will continue to hold up?
I think it holds up and I think it will continue to hold up. I think what helps is that this movie, yeah, it may be a little, it may be exploiting a little bit, but it's not doing it heavily, so it won't become too dated in the future when we learn more, when we see more of the reality in India, especially how this isn't portraying it to be that realistic of an incident. Yeah, I think this, and like I said, it's a modern film, so right now, everything in it looks great. Nothing seemed to be dated, especially since it has such a style to it as well. I think that's what's gonna help hold it up in time as well.
Yeah, I think that the style and the filmmaking and just the artistic vision, I think that definitely will continue to hold up. I think as we're going into a new age where there's more accessibility to foreign films, and I think as we see more and more films coming out of India, I'm not sure that this will continue to hold up. But just story-wise, but visually, I definitely think it will.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what continues to come from them. Like I said, right now it's kind of, I think people want more RRR, so it's like, are we going to continue getting that? So am I going to try to sneak a drama in? Also, we mentioned the cinematography and the look of this film a lot, so I want to give credit to Anthony Dodd Mantle, who worked on a lot of other Danny Boyle's films, like 127 Hours, which I think this looks so much like that film, especially when they do their flashbacks. And I think that's, I mean, you're talking about a movie that takes place kind of in one setting, aside from the flashbacks. And I think that cinematography helps that movie feel like it's going, even though it's not moving.
Oh, you just made me mad about something. Sorry. So this is beat out. Well, it's beat out by other films too. This film, Slumdog Millionaire, is beat out by The King's Speech as one of the highest grossing independent films. But The King's Speech beat out 127 Hours at the Oscars, and I remember being so mad about that year.
For Best Picture?
Yeah, for Best Picture. Because I wanted 127 Hours to win so bad.
I did like King's Speech a lot, though.
Ugh, I did not like King's Speech.
I remember watching that and liking it at the time. I have to go back and see it. I mean, that was definitely the Oscar bait, though.
Yeah, it definitely was.
Trance, which I didn't like, but again, same visual style. T2,
Trance was
not Terminator 2, Trainspotting 2, and 28 Days Later. Which 28 Days Later is the earliest of them, and you won't see like the complete visual style, but you can see where it started. So I'm interested I'm looking forward to doing that film as well. I'm looking forward to doing all these films, but 28 Days Later, really.
And you saw Sunshine?
Yes.
Okay, just confirming. I did like Sunshine.
Yeah, I've seen that a couple times. That's one of my horror movies to show people because not a people who like horror films have seen that one.
Yeah.
And that was always like the most requested film I got, or the most requested genre that I got to show somebody a film. Because when I used to work on the MP desk, I worked at night. So I'll set up my monitor, my laptop, my hard drive, and me and my assistant that day, whoever it is, randomly selected, one of the MPs, I'll put on a film for them. We'll just watch movies the whole night until it got busy. Then we actually did work. Don't worry. It's not like a fire was happening or somebody's bleeding out and we're like, hold up, this part's good. Just stay on the line, man. We'll get to you in a second. But yeah, I used to get requests all the time for horror movies. And then it got to the point where like, man, those people that really like horror movies, they've seen all the horror movies. Not saying that this is bottom of the barrel, but it's just one a lot of people haven't seen. So I think I showed this on the desk like twice.
Yeah. I think I came across Sunshine because I was looking for like low budget sci-fi films. Because that's a genre that I really like.
Yeah, I guess it is low budget. It doesn't seem like it.
It's not, I mean, lower budget.
Yeah.
Lower budget versus low budget, I guess.
That's also
like
one of those
Moon.
films. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's also like one of those films that you watch and go, they're in this? They're in this?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So let's go ahead and move into our overall rating of this film. So Brian, do you want to kick us off here?
Yeah, I give this movie I give it a B+. I was close to A-, but I think I'll stick with a B+.
Interesting. Now I'm rethinking mine.
Yeah, I don't necessarily like. This is a high B+.
I thought you were going higher. Yeah, I thought you were going to go higher.
Like, yeah, this is right on the border, but I don't think this should go in like my A tier. But this is super high B tier. It's like B++.
Yeah, I think I'll be there with you. I was thinking A-, but I think that you're right, and I think that you are a little bit more forgiving of the plot than I am. But that's not to say, I mean, I love this film. Like I said, there is a sort of nostalgia for me because, like I said, me and my friends just absolutely loved this film when we first watched it, and there's just moments in it that were definitely memorable. The music was memorable. It was something that we talked about, and we listened to the soundtrack, so it definitely was a big deal to me at that time. So there is a lot of nostalgia there. Like I said, I have a copy of the script that was given to me, and I've enjoyed reading that and looking over that. So it is definitely a movie I really, really like, but it's not a perfect film. And I can understand the criticisms, and the plot it is a little bit, simplistic for me to really put it up into A tier, but it really is a film that I really enjoy.
Did you enjoy this more the first time?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think this is one of the movies that I wouldn't enjoy more the second time. Because again, because of the story plot. But
I think visually I appreciated it more this time because I was able to really, really dive into it. And I think that my knowledge of the visuals and what was happening and how he's accomplishing that is greater than it was when I watched it before. And when I watched this before, I didn't watch this with with film lovers. I didn't watch this with cinephiles. I watched this with just a mainstream audience, and we just really enjoyed it. And so the things that we picked out of it were different. But yeah, down the road maybe give another watch. But yeah, I do think I enjoyed it a little bit more. But I do really appreciate this film. So I think that concludes our debrief for Slumdog Millionaire. Bryant, what do we have for our next episode?
The next episode, we'll be looking into someone's mind, a rather beautiful mind. That's right, we're going to be watching A Beautiful Mind from 2001, which will actually be our third film in a row that takes place in the 21st century. So, not intentional.
Well, does it take place? Atonement did take place.
Yeah, not take place, but the film was filmed. Yeah. Yeah, so this is a film that neither of us have actually seen. We'll talk about that. No, but I have a reason that I haven't watched this, and gotcha. I'll let you guys know during that episode. But until that assignment, Caitlyn, where can they find us?
You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at OpSilverScreen. On Facebook, we're at Operation Silver Screen, but Twitter and Instagram, that's OpSilverScreen. If you want to see some other movies that we're watching throughout the week and see our reviews for some things that we might not be talking about on here, please check out our personal letterboxes. You can find mine at Coffee Spoon Kate, that's Coffee Spoon CAIT, and you can find Brian at Swank Seal, that's capital S, capital S.
Till the next assignment, we'll be in HQ. I'm Bryant.
And I'm Caitlyn.
See ya.